Welcome back, History Hogs, to the final part of our Russian Revolution epic.
If you've indulged yourself, you're probably feeling very sick. You might as well go through. This will be, if you're on the Patreon and you've gobbled this all up, this is sort of sixth wank of the day feeling.
Yeah, it must be.
This is raw as hell.
You've eaten 5 portions of borscht back to back.
Yeah.
And you're now like, Christ, the acidity in my blood has changed. I'm now 10% vinegar and I feel ill.
Feels like a personal experience the way you're talking about it.
I've not eaten borscht that much.
Yeah.
I don't. Russian food, I'm on record as saying this.
Yeah.
Eastern European food is bad, and I think the Eastern European immigrant experience would be improved if they had better food.
Sure.
I think you look at our relationship. I've done this. I think this is in my first special. The relationship we have with the Indian community, the Chinese, West African, West Indian. Mm-hmm. It's all defined by our acceptance and love of their food.
You've got to bring something.
Eastern Europeans have not brought anything.
Yeah. That's why if there was a mass immigration for the British, we'd be fucked as well.
Apart from our corner shops are unarguably better.
Because of the Polish.
Because of Polish beers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's your favourite beers, Polish beers.
Oh, I fucking love a Holocaust beer.
A Tyskie.
Tyskie. Or my favourite is the green one with the bison on it, and it's called Zuba.
Yeah.
So this is in the first lockdown. I was nailing Zuba in my father-in-law.
Was this when you were pretending to be a woman and emailing people?
First lockdown. First lockdown, having a great time.
Yeah.
I went to the corner shop every day, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to have a different one of these beers every day because nothing's happening, is it? Fuck it, I'm going to have a different beer every day. And I found this one, and I was like, that fucking slaps. That it's really, really bitter in a nice way, but it's lager. It's really punchy. And then I had 2. Remember, I had 2, and the next day I felt absolutely fucked. And I went back and I bought another one. Then I realised it was 8%.
Right.
So
it's like sort of weak wine in pint form.
Yeah. Right. Brilliant stuff though. Don't be messing with this. That's the
K-side is crazy.
This stuff's crazy. Like I'm not.
Well, that's homeless guy stuff, right?
Well, you're getting into homeless beers now.
Yeah, that's where there's the sweet spot, isn't there? Between sort of light Ponzi beers and homeless beers. Yeah. Special brew, you've gone too far.
I'm much more of a on the spectrum of if homeless beers are the straightest beers and craft beers are gay, I'm much more straight than I am gay.
Right.
Like I am in all my areas of my life.
I probably lean a little more gay. How are you on your beers, Charlie? Gay or straight?
I like Stella. I'm actually surprisingly straight with my.
I don't really like the blokey, gassy, farty, dumb beers. I think some of them are so bad. No, Foster's sucks. Carling sucks. Stella Artois sucks. Madry. Just because you got a fucking Spanish bloke on there doesn't mean it's not fucking Carling.
You're having white wine and crisps for dinner. You're a fucking little jailbait, little fucking.
What's the gayest beer? Is Hobgoblin gay?
No, Hobgoblin's not gay. Hobgoblin's an ale. What are you scared? You might taste something, lager boy.
Yeah, but it's a certain type of straight.
That's a straight saying.
It's
World of Warcraft straight. It's Warhammer straight.
Yeah, it's kind of
like
asexual. It's actually straight.
It's asexual.
Yeah.
If you're drinking Hobgoblin, you're not
shagging.
No, there's no one's having.
You're not
10
getting
pints
railed
of
by the Hobgoblin.
No one's drinking 10 pints of Hobgoblin, then getting any pussy. That's not happening. You're drinking 10 pints of Hobgoblin, then you're logging onto a forum to.
Krabby's is pretty gay.
Yeah, Krabby's is gay.
Yeah, I like my kind of European beers.
Beavertown, ironically, is gay as shit.
Yeah, it's a complete scam. I think it's
all craft beer is a scam. It's a gay scam.
I quite like an American pale ale. I don't hate it. What
I do
think is interesting is the British relationship with the Spanish beer, and I think it's with such a easy market to trick. You slap a label of an old Spanish guy from around the 20s enjoying a beer, and we just go,
or Italian,
or Italian,
yeah,
Birra Moretti,
Mediterranean,
for example.
yeah.
Oh, that must be brilliant. And they always bring one out, and they'll do it every 5 years. You'll see a new, maybe even 3 years, you'll see a new Mediterranean beer.
Yeah.
And just like a builder will be like, we'll see it and go, that looks class.
Yeah.
That reminds me of being on holiday. The new ones, so it started with Birra Moretti, then it went to Madry, and now they got Cruz Campo, that Seville one. Just watch out. And I've even, in like offies where they have like off-duty beers, you can see the vanguard of these
off-duty?
I don't know, like, they get random beers.
Are you on duty? No.
Duty. No. But under the table beers, they got a selection that's not in Tesco's, right?
Yeah.
You get to see the vanguard of what's going to be the new Spanish beer that's coming.
We also get to see these boys.
Yeah,
the straight
these fuckers.
Boys.
What do you think it would do to sales if you had just a crying little boy rather than like an old sort of...
If it was a pale ale, easy. A pale ale, you could put fucking anything on there.
I'd buy that.
You could put Lenin on the top of the train saying peace, land, bread with cheese on his head. Like it's a fucking... You could do whatever you want if it's a pale ale.
Yeah, but people are. I mean, the pale ales are now they're like fucking album covers from the 70s. It's like a Pink Floyd record on a beer. It's a disgrace.
It's a disgrace.
I want to see a fucking mad animal like a Zuba. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. You couldn't handle a Zuba.
You don't think I can handle a Zuba?
You can't handle a Zuba.
Can't handle it.
No. I'm having Zuba that I'm driving.
Right. With driving gloves on.
I'm straight because I wear driving gloves. I do actually have driving gloves.
I bet you wank with driving gloves on.
Yeah, you've got to take precaution.
Cold.
I can't get my hands pregnant. I'm wanking with driving gloves.
Anyway, should we finish
Let's
off?
Stop talking about Zuba.
Yeah.
Zuba, we're in 1917.
Zuba sounds like a character in this, potentially.
Do you want to place this?
Do you want to place this, Charlie?
Charlie, do you want to place this?
Yes.
1917.
So 1917, that is before...
Why haven't we done this before?
No,
I bet we're about to find out.
Before I was born.
Yeah.
And after they found the first crocodile.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's they?
The men.
The men.
Yeah.
Wide berth,
do you wanna
but we did chuck it on you.
They found the crocodile. It's such a funny sentence. As in, that's on the newspaper.
They found the crocodile.
They found the crocodile. So they were aware of the crocodile, but they just didn't know where they were.
Yeah, 230 million years ago they found the first
No.
Oh, right.
They didn't find. It depends who they are.
No one's found anything in 230 million years
Do you mean
ago.
the first crocodile existed?
No,
you mean the evolution of a crocodile?
You said found.
Yeah.
You know what? It's very hard to tell.
Because that's one of the widest births ever.
That is the widest birth. If it's 230
evolution of a
million...
crocodile at my birthday, you got about 250 million years.
He's placed this perfectly. The Russian Revolution is in between the first crocodiles on the planet and when our producer Charlie was born, which was, what, 1996?
Yeah, so 250 million years, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
is the Russian
Revolution ideal.
Brings us perfectly up to date.
And we're in August.
27th of 1917, if that wasn't already clear.
Now, so we left off with Kerensky is in power in the provisional government.
Prime Minister now.
Lenin is in hiding in Finland wearing a Rasta wig. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And
furiously writing on forums and stuff. He's an angry commenter.
Hitler's painting somewhere in Germany. We mustn't forget. He's wounded. He's been wounded. Hitler
his artistic period.
Bravely struck down in World War One. Took a bullet for his country.
Yeah.
Who among us can say that?
He's drawing quite good landscapes with terrible faces.
He can't do faces, Hitler. It'll be his great undoing. And anyway, so Hitler's knocking about. That's nice to know. If you're struggling to know, how old is Hitler, Charlie? He's born in 18. I can work this out. He's born in 1889, 20th of April. So it's August 1917. He's nearly 30.
So is he feeling a lot of anxiety about turning 30?
Yeah, he is. He's like, oh my God, I'm not married. My friends are settling down. I'm just drawing. I've got a bullet in my leg, you know.
Adulting. He's like, will I ever... I don't feel like an adult, you know.
Where does the internet come from? Who pays for it? It's magic.
He's still on his parents' phone contract and he's 28.
He's still living at home. Yeah, he's still living at home. Anyway, we are in pre-Soviet Russia. It's about to get very Soviet.
Incredibly Soviet. Could be more Soviet.
Lenin's smoking doobs in Finland. And Kerensky is starting to lose control of support.
The offensive was terrible.
He's very offensive.
Yep.
Everyone was blacked up, charging the Germans.
Chaos is running because of the July days where the Bolsheviks tried an uprising. Kerensky's now scared of the Bolsheviks. But then...
So he now installs, at some point in July and August, he installs this guy called General Lavr, L-A-V-R, I don't know how the fuck you say that. Kornilov. Head of the army, and Kornilov's he doesn't take any shit, this guy.
It's said that if he'd kind of got into power, he probably would have been the first fascist before Mussolini.
Wow.
So he actually is a kind of proto-fascist military dictator.
Sorry, Mr. Kornilov, can I just shake your hand? So he's
another character who, if the revolution had turned out differently, he could have been the man everyone was talking about. Like Kerensky.
Yeah, and he's sort of, is he a bit Asian?
He looks Asiatic.
He looks a bit Asian, I guess, yeah. We should say this, there's also, we haven't actually talked about the Russian far right, but it's almost as many like little paramilitaries, little offshoots of the right that are knocking about Petrograd causing trouble as there are left.
Yeah.
So it's just a terrifying place to be.
Terrifying.
But Kornilov is head of the army, installed by Kerensky, and he immediately reinstalls capital punishment on the front because, as you said last time, people are deserting and the Russian morale's through the floor. And so he's like, right, not capital punishment. He reinstalls the death penalty.
Yep.
So he's like, if you desert, you're dead. So
chaos. Let's bring in a kind of
hard man.
A hard man. But there's a call between Kornilov and Kerensky, or there's some communication, right? I don't know if it's via Telegram or is it?
No, I think what happens is that Kerensky is losing support, and I don't know how it starts, but there's one of them basically is like, hey, we should dissolve the provisional government and there should be a dictator. And I think the misunderstanding is whether it's going to be Kornilov or Kerensky who's the dictator.
Yes, there's basically this.
There's a phone call between the two of them.
What China Melville says is maybe the greatest incident of cross wires in history.
Yeah, there's a call where Kerensky's in the Winter
Palace. A lot
Palace
of innuendo.
Petrograd.
Which is the problem with innuendo.
Yes. This is probably the worst time for innuendo.
You know what I mean? Maybe come and change things around here?
Yeah.
If you get what I say and I hear you.
Yeah.
You do what you need to do.
Charlie's fucking his hand. Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Kornilov comes, he's all lubed up, let's fuck. Yeah.
But basically what happens is that essentially Kerensky sort of manifests a coup against himself.
Yes.
By misunderstanding what Kornilov meant. And so Kornilov starts marching towards Petrograd with troops, which I think he's like, we're just going to try and restore order.
Yep.
But Kerensky has somehow convinced himself there's a right-wing coup happening.
Yeah,
it's chaos.
And then he changes his mind drastically and basically is now like, oh my God, we're under attack.
Yeah, and also no historian actually knows this is called the Kornilov Affair. No one actually knows what happens.
Yeah.
But it's basically two people misunderstand each other, maybe because one of them was speaking Chinese, I don't know.
Yeah.
And essentially, there then starts a little war.
Which the Bolsheviks had fucked it with the July days.
Yeah.
And it looked like they'd fucked the revolution.
They'd lost a lot of members. They'd gone down to about 80,000 members.
It was a disaster.
Yeah.
But this kind of almost freak accident is what saves them completely. Because Kerensky, now so scared of Kornilov and his army, panics. And he's a very moderate sort of guy, and I think
he's Blair.
He's trying to keep everyone happy.
Yep. Right.
So what he does, which is a big mistake, is because the Bolsheviks have a lot of support within the Petrograd sailors and some soldiers and stuff like that within Petrograd, he rearms the Bolsheviks.
Yeah,
and he frees Trotsky and a couple of other people.
And it's so much like, thank fuck that cunt's gone. Oh my God.
To defend the city.
Yeah.
And then the coup kind of stops in its tracks.
Trotsky's walking around talking about FGM.
Yeah.
Never mind ISIS. You heard about Boko Haram?
Yeah. Finally free.
And so the Bolsheviks are now armed. They've got loads of guns, and the Bolsheviks defeat Kornilov, but without really a shot being fired.
Not really. It kind of is. It's a whimper of a coup.
When you zoom out of what Kerensky's done, it is one of the big boo boos in history.
Completely.
In that he's got power. He then basically manifests a coup on himself. Then gives all the weapons to the communist extremists who he knows are revolutionaries, and then they don't even use them or any ammunition in defeating the coup that he started.
They use it to defeat him later on.
Yeah, so it's one of the biggest fuck-ups ever,
It's just a classic clown school fuck-up. You've slipped on a banana, you've hit your head on frying pans.
It's it's kick-off, and you're like, do you know what, let's go back to the keeper, and you score a goal from the halfway line. You're like, guys, how have we one down? We've just conceded, we're now 2 down. So the Bolsheviks now, I think... So they'd lost that many members at the start of July. They thought they'd fucked it in July days. Then when you get into September, their numbers are back up at like 200,000.
Because this has ruined Kerensky's reputation. Anyone who's sided with Kornilov, which is a lot of the right-wingers, people like the cadets and stuff, anyone who's been on his side, they're now out the running to be in power because they're viewed as people who are part of this coup. And then the Bolsheviks, who have a clear idea of what they want, suddenly they seem like the people who understand what's going to... where the country needs to go. So
Lenin, he's hearing about this, but he's like on a delay because he's in Finland, and he's just fucking baked. Yeah, Kornilov. So in September 1917, the Bolsheviks gained majorities in the Petrograd and Moscow Soviets. And then Lenin this is when he's starting
He's
to
like,
feel
right,
like
I think we're nearing.
we're near.
Yeah.
So we get into October,
Right.
And now? How does Lenin get back in the country?
I don't know how Lenin actually returns, but he puts his wig back on.
Definitely puts another
and
wig
it's
on.
very kind of
Do
dramatic.
you reckon it's a different wig?
I don't know. I don't know if they've even worked out.
Wee Jimmy hat?
Yeah, maybe. Could be like a carrot top, some with ginger hair.
Yeah. He's ginger though, Lenin, isn't he?
Is he?
He is ginger, yeah.
I guess I only ever seen him in black and white,
No, he's ginger.
so I never knew that. Really?
Yeah. He's probably got very smelly balls. Do you not think ginger people have got smellier balls?
No.
Do you not think?
I think maybe their ball sticks to their leg more than other people's.
It's one of my prejudices that I'm only just examining now. When I say ginger person, I think your balls smell more than mine do.
Do you think if there was more ginger people, there would have been pogroms against them?
I'd like to start some pogroms against ginger people. I think ginger-owned businesses are a disgrace. We should throw chairs in the windows.
I think there's more hermaphrodites worldwide than ginger people.
Really?
Because there's only ginger people basically in this part of the world, right? There's only ginger people in Ireland, Britain, and a tiny bit of Russia. The only places where there's ginger people. If you go on the map of ginger people spread, they're only in like a tiny bit.
But hermaphrodites is like, that's a sort of...
But hermaphrodites is everywhere though.
Yeah, but that's a freak of...
Think about how many hermaphrodites are in China alone. Just from that.
I don't think about that
population
ever.
Well, you should.
How many Chinese hermaphrodites there are?
Yeah.
But hermaphrodites...
You're not using your brain.
Right. Hermaphrodites are people who've got dick and fanny.
Yeah.
So...
Sorry, there's more intersex people.
Right.
Which I think is maybe a bigger term than hermaphrodites.
Yeah. Hermaphrodites...
And we're all intersex, brother.
It's such a mad thing. So does that mean you can kind of like fuck yourself if you wanted to?
Go fuck yourself. Well,
yeah.
So that means something different to hermaphrodites.
I guess it's about angle. I mean, in that photo there, the dick's above the fanny, so it's quite hard to get it in. But if your dick's below your fanny,
you can erect yourself into yourself.
And just sort of a sit up.
Yeah.
And the October Revolution is a hermaphrodite revolution that's very exciting and very boring.
Mm-hmm. At the same time. Lenin returns, and he doesn't even have time to take his wig off when he walks back into the Petrograd Soviet.
Yeah, man.
He bursts through the doors. Everyone's shocked. He's returned. Yeah. And the thing about Lenin, on every time he's come back from exile, there's never any pleasantries. No. There's never any like, how are you doing? How was the thing? He comes through the door, always telling off the Bolsheviks for not being prepared enough.
Yeah.
And then there's this famous meeting on the eve of the October Revolution where there's a room of the 12 top...
most boring cunts ever.
Most boring cunts ever.
Yeah.
Stalin has been in the mix because Stalin wasn't in jail with Trotsky. Stalin wasn't in his exile, so he's been on the ground.
Stalin's alive because he wasn't in a cell with Trotsky.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hasn't killed himself.
Yeah.
But he's been doing a lot of the organisation and dirty work on the ground during this period where a lot of the top Bolsheviks have had to be into hiding. There's a meeting with 12 of the top Bolsheviks. And basically, only Lenin and Stalin want an armed revolution the next day.
Everyone else wants to do like a Instagram post.
Yes, everyone's like, let's just do a black square.
Hashtag.
I've already got "This is what a feminist looks like" t-shirt on.
Yeah,
I feel that's doing enough.
I'm against this. Hashtag. Yeah.
And then this is one of Lenin's great skills. After a 15-hour meeting,
he just won't stop talking.
He eventually coerces.
Yeah.
A vote that agrees to have an armed revolution the next day.
I mean, if you just don't stop talking. And you were going, this meeting will only end when you agree with me.
Yeah.
It's 15 hours. And they haven't eaten. They don't eat until the end.
Yeah.
So I reckon I would just be like,
just busting cigs.
I'm fucking starving.
Yeah, we'll do whatever you want.
Whatever you want. Yeah, let's do it.
Just shut the fuck up.
Can someone give me some fucking herring?
Yeah.
Probably, I would have said, I reckon.
And then it's quite like a bizarre revolution, actually. Where
it's a bit of an anticlimax.
It's an anticlimax.
Well, we should talk about the ship. So the sailors in Kronstadt.
Did you listen to this bit?
Yeah, so the sailors in Kronstadt. Now, Kronstadt's this weird little naval
It's like
island.
a little island on the outskirts of...
And they've already had a revolution over there, I think.
Like a mutiny.
Mutiny. They then join the Bolsheviks and they sail warships over just to St. Petersburg, which is a port, Petrograd, and they basically say... they point the guns at the Winter Palace, which is where Kerensky's hold up, and they say, if you don't evacuate and abandon it in half an hour, we're going to bomb it.
Yeah.
Then they don't do that.
So they try to bomb it, but the guns don't work, and they got the wrong ammo.
Right.
So there's like an anticlimax there. It just puffs up. They said, we're going to do it then, and then So it's all kind of strange, and then holed up in the Winter Palace, there's Kerensky nervously biting his fingers. He's got the remnants of the provisional government. He's got a few cadets protecting him. But there's just this weird element where it's kind of like the Reds are kind of seeping in and just walking through this house, and they kind of walk into the provisional government and say basically like
they sit down and have dinner.
Yeah.
They have like fish and chips or something.
Yeah.
Not fish and chips. I don't know.
Fish and fucking elderberries.
Fish and fucking cabbage, probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then that's basically it. And then all the while this is happening, the Bolsheviks are having a fucking massive meeting because they don't stop.
They fucking love it.
They're having a meeting.
It's called the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
It's the meetings union.
It's the country of the meetings.
Yeah.
And so, but they've already. The book that we both read, I listened to it, and it's tough because exciting thing is happening. You know, in my head, I'm thinking, oh fuck, there's a battleship with its guns pointed at like Buckingham Palace. That's exciting. And then the author would just do a whole paragraph about the concurrent meeting that was happening where they were trying to decide what should happen in the event of the gunfight. And you're like, can we just forget about the fucking meeting and talk about the battleship? You
want to see more Mission Impossible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Mission Impossible, you think it's long now.
Yeah.
If it was made by Soviets, it would go on for weeks.
Yeah.
Like, there'd be a fucking health and safety meeting before Tom Cruise did anything. It was made by the Russians.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we can skip a lot of that bit. But basically, this gets rebranded as the storming of the Winter Palace when really just a few cunts like run in. It's like the storming of the Capitol.
Yep.
And they just run in and then
there's not really
like,
any defenses.
oh, where's Nancy Pelosi? Oh, there's no one there.
There's shit on her desk.
Yeah. Did someone do a shit on that?
I think so.
Well, they were going to.
They were going to.
Well, no, they were trying to kill her and then they ended up doing a poo on her desk.
Yeah, because in the film made by Sergei Eisenstein, that revolutionary filmmaker who does all the films recreating the myth of the revolution, when they refilm the storming of the Winter Palace, there's more extras
than there are
people in the entire revolution, basically. Anyway, so the October Revolution happens. The council, the meetings of People's Commissars is established. Lenin is in control.
So Lenin decides, he's like, what should we call us?
Yeah.
We can't call ourselves ministers because that's too loaded. So we'll call ourselves...
The bad boy.
Not that.
We are the bad boy. The union are the bad boys.
Yeah. Bad boy. What you gonna do?
Meeting, probably.
Yeah.
They're probably
going to have a meeting. They call themselves commissars. There's initially, Trotsky's like, who's going to lead everyone? And Lenin's like, you should... Even though he must know, he's just being polite. And then Trotsky's like, I can't, I'm Jewish. And then, did you know that Jews are actually oppressed? Right. And then it's like, shut up, Leon. All right, I'll do it.
Yeah. All power is declared to the Soviets. So the idea is all the Soviets around the country, they're going to be people running
Imagine
the
if the UK
just local
government
councils.
was toppled by local councillors. It would be the most boring, painfully torturous news story ever. Jackie Weaver's in charge.
Jackie Weaver's taking control.
So then
this is just St. Petersburg, which is a key city, but it's such a huge Russian empire. What happens after this is the 3 to 4 year brutal civil war where 15 million people die.
Yeah. Then, obviously, the first thing Lenin has said he's going to do is peace.
And his focus on peace is what has kind of guided this revolution through. He said from the start he wants the war to end.
I'm actually against war.
Yeah. And he will do anything to end the war with Germany because he realizes if he can end the war in Germany, he can win the civil war. As long as the war keeps going, he'll probably lose.
Yeah.
Because he needs to get all the troops on the Eastern Front. He can lose everything.
Yeah.
It's more important for him to stay onto power. So what ends up happening is they sign this crazy peace treaty with Germany.
Yeah.
Because Germany know they've got Russia exactly where they want them. When they're going down, when they're going down to sign this treaty, because of one of the rules of the Soviets, where they have to have a peasant there
for legitimacy,
because they need to have a representative from the peasantry, right? Because they've realised halfway down,
because they never met a peasant in their life. Any of these cunts,
they're halfway down and they go, "Fuck, we forgot a peasant." So they just stop the train, just say, "Oi, out the window, you come with us." Get a random peasant to sit in on the meeting that decides this treaty of the
Brest-Litovsk.
Which I didn't know about, but it's
crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Lenin even says it's a coward's peace. He knows it. But it's an amazing move from him because it's so counterintuitive to do this, but it is fundamentally what saves the Bolshevik cause because he just needs to get this peace done.
So basically, Lenin agrees to give Germany essentially
so much.
I mean,
it's crazy.
All of Ukraine, all of the Baltic states,
all the Baltics,
Finland, Poland,
Yeah.
Now, none of this actually ends up happening because Germany lose the war. But there's a very interesting point, right?
So it's fuckload of land, by the way. Just crazy.
It's loads and loads of land. It's all of Russia's arguably their best assets.
Because even though Russia's a huge empire, all the key land is in the European side, and it's basically giving all that shit back. Yeah. So what's taken for the Brest-Litovsk is given to Germans includes Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, parts of Poland, and pretty much the whole of Ukraine,
and Belarus,
Belarus. But it's a great move because it happens. The German war effort collapses, and does Russia get it all back? Pretty much.
Yeah.
But I mean, just in like the kind of strategy game, the gamble and the payoff.
Well, I guess
this treaty is pretty amazing. I think.
Well,
losing everything to gain everything.
Yeah, he doesn't know he's going to gain everything, though.
No, but he realizes that Bolsheviks will be fucked without it.
And there's an interesting what if that if the Romanovs had held on for another 18 months, right, then they would be on the winning side of the war. And the Nicholas Romanov had actually signed originally Sykes-Picot, right, with the British and the French, which was how they're going to divvy up the Ottoman Empire.
Right.
And the Sykes-Picot is the thing that everyone goes on about, and one of the foundation problems with the Middle East currently.
Fine, yeah.
So if Russia had signed that originally, it's only the Bolsheviks that take signature off it. If Russia had hung on, if Romanovs had held on to the end of the war and Germany was defeated, they would have got all this Ottoman land.
Yeah. Up for grabs because the Ottoman Empire was like a yard sale.
Yeah,
because it was collapsed and it was like, who wants this?
Who wants Constantinople? They would have had Constantinople. Would have been Russian,
which has been the big dream.
Yeah,
to reunite the Orthodox.
It's a fun like what if.
Yeah, but also with this Brest-Litovsk treaty, a young Hitler painting away the vision of a German Lebensraum.
Yeah, he sees it, and
Poland,
then
Baltic, and it's
collapses.
a huge part of his narrative as well. Is basically that this was ours and it was taken from us.
So a civil war has kind of already begun by this point. Would you say that? So this is where you have these
basically anti-Bolsheviks. They're not necessarily they're kind of czarist, but they're maybe some of them for a constitutional.
There's some constitutional. There's some like socialist Democrats there, and. So the whites are now taking on the Leninists, the Reds. This starts a big civil war, which
war.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All over the country, every town. It's brutal. Millions of people die.
Pogroms.
The Reds have awful atrocities, but the whites probably even worse. It's like there's not really heroes and villains in this story. They're all fucked.
No, they're all fucked.
But it's like the whites do have opportunities to beat the Reds often, but it's really badly managed. They still have really like arrogant imperial mindsets, which means they don't make the right alliances. It's really bloated as a force because it's all the ex-Tsarist officers. Some of the armies for the whites, one of them had 400 generals, right, and 25 infantry.
What? How does that work? Because
there's so many out-of-work Tsarist officers.
Oh, wow.
And it's just like the structural command is so fucked on the whites that they're all general. There's just loads of generals.
What, in a house, just in a room like that, shouting at the infantry, 25 guys. Before we go properly into the Russian Civil War, we should finish the story of the Romanovs, because this is so. In July 1918, they've been in exile in Siberia. They've been playing chess, cards, halcyon days, croquet.
I'm getting to know my kids. It's nice.
Do you know what? I'm actually growing up with my kids. I've got a relationship with my kids. Most dads don't have that. You know what I mean?
It's paternity leave.
It's a long paternity leave.
It's like a Norwegian paternity leave.
Yeah,
right?
it's what do they call that thing where there's a name for it. All Swedes get. It's
like a 2-year.
A bladder.
Yeah,
and it's like a woke year where the dads do it. Oh yeah, they're called latte papas because they all drink lattes.
So he's a latte papa.
Yeah, Nicholas II is a latte papa, and he's hanging out with his kids and his wife.
And he's carrying the kid in the front-facing rucksack.
Yeah, I mean his youngest kid is 17, but still he's carrying his hebephile child in a carrier in a papoose. And Piers Morgan's like, "That's not a czar." Anyway, so they have this kind of fairly idyllic sort of few months in the summer in Siberia.
Under the watch by the Red Guard, right?
Well, yeah, they're under the watch of a commissar, but now you've got to remember these are 4 teen girls, right?
Woo!
It's kind of spring break. The guards all basically want to fuck the girls. And one of the there's a inspection because the commies love an inspection.
Love it.
From Moscow. And they go, we've got to move this because the guards don't give a shit, because the guards are fraternizing, because there's one of them is particularly fit, one of the Romanov girls, and the guards all want to fuck her. So they're just like flirting, and the girl's like flicking her hair. So they decide to move them to Yekaterinburg, and they get put in a house with no like blacked out windows. But still, like one of the girls is very cheeky, and she's flirting with the guards. And basically, Lenin gives an order, and he doesn't write this down. He doesn't want to be
paper trail back to him.
But he gives this order that he's actually they need to murder them all because the white forces are approaching, and they don't want any trace of the Romanov line that could be used as a banner to reinstate them. So now, in the meantime, the Romanovs they've got a 5 kilogram pile of diamonds, like big fucking diamonds. Yeah. They've sewn them into their underwear and their bras and their petticoats and whatever fucking...
Like strippers?
Basically.
But real diamonds.
Like real diamonds, yeah. Ones. Like classy. Like, why are you stripping if you got that kind of jewellery on you?
Not Diamanté, like Panties.
No, actual, like, Kohinoor shit.
Weighed down.
Yeah. They weigh like 2 kilos, these pants. And so what they codename this their medicine. So when they're moving house, they're like, oh, take the medicine, which means put on these heavy pants. And because ultimately they think we want to buy our freedom and move abroad with these diamond panties. So what happens is that the order comes to murder them, and because the white forces are approaching, and so they get this psychopath in charge of the murder. This is a guy who had, during the Civil War, had like cut off someone's head with a saw. Right. I say cut off. He's sawn someone's head off. Sure. So I guess he laid them down on a vice. Yeah. Got someone to hold his other end and like screwed his nose in. I don't know. Anyway, he's like a sort of Charles Manson figure.
Fine.
He organises a death squad, but he can't find enough professional soldiers. They don't really have...
They speak for days about ways to kill them as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of... They have a big meeting about how we're going to kill these.
There are so many ways you could have killed them. Yeah. You could have poisoned them. You could have like strangled them in their sleep.
Bore them to death.
You could have got Trotsky to come and talk about fucking Gaza or something. Right. So what they end up doing is there are 11 people in all that get killed. There's the 6 or 7 Romanovs, and then there's this butler and a doctor and a maid or whatever.
So it's like Cluedo.
It's like Cluedo.
Who did it?
Colonel
probably
Mustard.
the assassin.
Yeah.
It's probably the hired psychotic assassin with the gun.
Yeah.
In the death basement.
Yeah. So they walk them down to the basement of this house, and they've all the assassins. They're drunk. They're pissed. They've got is revolvers and pistols and bayonets. And as the Romanovs walk down the basement, Alexei, the little boy, he's had a hemophilic attack, so he's really, really horny for a 13-year-old. So his dad carries him down, and the last thing they see is this graffiti on the wall, which is Rasputin railing his wife while Nicholas II is there in a chair, like jacking it as a cuck.
Just because that's graffiti. Everyone was graffitiing.
That's because everyone's like, you're a cuck, mate.
And so whoever was living there,
it's like Will Smith. Everyone knows his wife's fucking someone else.
And okay, fine.
Yeah.
So that's just coincidence.
That's just a coincidence. That's just a nice little deep bit of detail for the dumb.
Lovely.
Jobs. So they walk down, and then they've been told.
Then he starts jacking it to watching his wife getting fucked by Rasputin.
Because he's a cuck within a cuck. He's a Russian doll cuck.
He's a Russian doll cuck.
You take a different one out, and they're just wanking at the last one. Yeah, there's nothing more virulent than a Russian cuck.
Because you're wanking at the guy watching
someone else wank. Yeah. It's like a smaller cuck chair next to a cuck stool next to a cuck
point,
guy.
Whoever's getting fucked, there's kind of irrelevant.
The last guy is just a guy just fucking his own face. Just because the chairs get smaller. Russian cuck dolls. Anyway, what happens next is crazy, right? So all the assassins are pissed. They've all been told, so they line up the 11 Romanovs, extended family, whatever, and they've all been told, right, pick a target, you shoot the target, we're done, right? Nice clean job, lads.
Fair enough.
All the guys, none of them want to kill any women. So when the guy shouts fire, everyone shoots Nicholas II at the same time. He gets shot simultaneously by 10 bullets in his chest. His chest explodes.
Blood everywhere.
Just Then obviously the Romanovs have been told they were being moved because the whites are approaching.
Yes.
They don't really know, even until the guards come in with their pistols, that there's something fruity going on.
Even when their dad's chest explodes,
They go,
still
well, hang on, what's happened there? He did have a big dinner. They then shoot Alexandra in the head. Bang!
Yeah.
Stop your squabbling. Like no one wants to kill the girls, but that is Lenin's orders. So they shoot Alexei, and then he just fucking won't stop bleeding. My God, he won't. Famously, you cut me, I'm going to bleed to death. So he just keeps bleeding and keep bleeding. That's what that song's about.
It's about Alexei.
Leona Lewis wrote a song about a hebephile Russian prince. Anyway, what should have taken 20 seconds takes 20 minutes.
Crazy.
Of just shooting, stabbing. Some of the bayonets, they're like big World War I bayonets. They go in so hard that the girls get stuck to the floor, and then they like try and pull it out. They're like shooting.
What are the sources for all this information? Do you know?
Yeah,
the guards talking about
Simon Sebag Montefiore on Empire has a really. He wrote a whole book about the Romanovs.
Right.
And there's an hour-long episode where he talks about the murder. It's fucking.
So, but is the guards telling this story?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's old guns, so the smoke filling everywhere, and Leona Lewis is playing.
Mm-hmm.
There's blood everywhere, brains everywhere. It takes 20 minutes.
Crazy.
Mad. They then eventually get all the bodies. The other problem is they start shooting the kids, but they're wearing the diamonds, so they're literally wearing they're wearing chainmail. So the bullets are like bang 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 bang. Like they just can't kill them. It's like Police Squad or Airplane. It's a farce, right? They then eventually kill them all, and they drag them outside, and then it's fast upon fast. They've dug a mine shaft.
I mean, it's a pretty brutal farce. It's not the most light-hearted.
No, it's not the play that goes wrong. It's sort of is the assassination that goes wrong. They've dug a mine shaft or a well. They then put the bodies in it. They then realise it's not that shallow. It's not that deep. It's like a shallow hole.
And there's loads of them.
Fuck, there's loads of them.
They're piling up.
Yeah, literally. This is above ground. This is a nightmare. So then one of them has to go back into town to get more petrol or acid to get rid of them. Anyway, they've dissolved them. They burn them. Whatever. In 1998, they find a couple of bones, and they think it's the Romanov bones. Prince Philip, who would be their cousin,
may he rest in power.
May he rest in power. Prince Philip, our Duke of Edinburgh, is obviously a cousin of one of these. He gives blood, and they do a DNA test, and they confirm that the bones is a positive match from Prince Philip in 1998.
So nice? Just of the Romanovs, the whole set.
Yeah.
The whole set?
No, they couldn't
whole
find...
cutlery set?
They could... No, the teaspoons were missing. The children. Because this is also where the Anastasia Disney film comes from. Which
can you get Anastasia up? So, one of my favourite Disney films growing up, actually. It's an underrated banger, Anastasia.
It is a banger, but I've just realised that the sort of prequel to Anastasia is fucking brutal.
Brutal.
Is that Rasputin?
That's Rasputin there, yeah. I just need to rewatch this now.
Yeah.
It's crazy to set a Disney film in the Russian Revolution.
Fucking Patreon.
Oh, yeah, we should do a Patreon.
Film club, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. I'd love that.
Let's do that.
I'll watch it with my kids.
I'll watch it with my fit girlfriend.
Yeah, how about I watch it with my 3-year-old, you watch it with your thick girlfriend, and we'll see who has a better understanding of the film. Anyway, so that the Romanovs are killed eventually in July, and then the Civil War carries on. We need to tie up the story of the Civil War.
Yeah, I've listened to an audiobook on the Civil War. It's pretty fucking brutal. It's just fights on every front. There's some mad stuff where Trotsky basically pisses off the Czechs.
Obviously, he starts talking.
Yeah, he pisses them off.
He opens his mouth, and they're like, "Fucking hell, mate! Take a day off. Do you want a beer or something?"
Yeah. And it completely fucks up the Siberian front because the Czechs basically there.
Do you know that avocado is actually one of the highest water footprints of any food?
They go, right, so fuck you off.
So even being vegans, actually, you're committing quite a big crime against the planet if you have avocados. Do you know that? Alan Titchmarsh says they should be treated like caviar.
And then 50,000 Czechs, to punish Trotsky for being so dull,
yeah,
go up and down the Trans-Siberian Railway Express, causing havoc.
Now, Trans-Siberian, that's a pretty fruity minority.
Oh my God, yeah.
There's not many of them I've seen.
It's like an Eskimo
Eskimo trans. Fucking hell,
It's
can you
as powerful
imagine?
as it gets.
That is that's peak minority, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's a lot of discourse about them getting into gendered ice fishing.
And Trotsky's like, where are they in the adverts? There's no representation for trans Siberians.
Yeah.
Nah.
A Sipanik. In their culture, a Sipanik is a trans Inuit.
Wow.
Interesting.
So there's a few of them, maybe.
Inuit and an Altiet.
I guess that's a hermaphrodite Eskimo is an in and outie yet.
Where do you poo if you live in an igloo? Where do you poo?
Down the ice
I think you just
hole?
hop between two of the bricks, maybe.
No.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
No.
To the bricks?
No. You have you
like
cut
ice fishing.
like ice fishing, but you lay a log in there.
Right, ice pooing.
And they're like, I've caught one. Oh, for fuck's sake, it's my uncle's shit.
I've caught a floater.
My uncle's frozen hard shit.
Sorry, let's get off tranny Eskimos.
Well, I guess with the Civil War, we're not going to go through the narrative of it. There's just a little bits here and there. The Reds are pretty brutal. So is everyone, to be fair, including the invention of the Gulag by Lenin, even though it's often seen as a Stalin invention. It's probably Lenin.
I didn't know Lenin invented the Gulag.
Obviously, they've always exiled people to Siberia, but the Gulag sort of takes it to that next step.
Yeah.
Because it's basically a class genocide. Anyone who's counter-revolutionary can be sent to these sort of re-education camps / death camps.
So middle-class genocide.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Absolute disgrace. Minute silence, please, for all the middle-class
They also,
dads.
because they're trying to kill so many people, they get a lot of the bourgeoisie or whites forces, tie them up with barbed wire, float them out on a barge into the middle of the Baltic, and then they blow up the barge.
Why do they do that? Seems unnecessary.
It does seem
just
like
let them drown. Why are they blowing it up?
Well, I guess you want to save bullets. No, because it's on a ship.
Uh-huh.
And you want to get them out far.
So you just sink the ship?
So you just sink the ship.
Right.
It's one bullet, right? It's actually a more cost-effective way of doing it.
Oh, well,
you get a massive barge filled with people with their hands tied.
Yeah.
And then you just blow up the ship. And they're all in the middle, their hands tied.
You could just blow them up on land and save the ship, though, shouldn't you?
Yeah, but will that kill all of them? You'd have to probably shoot them in the head. If they're tied up, that's still one bullet, right?
Well, they'll drown.
Because they'll just drown. There's no way out. So
they love sharing everything, these fuckers.
They do.
And Britain and France and America,
everyone gets involved.
Joining
That's why I didn't realise. Everyone was getting involved.
Yeah, like Churchill fucking hates the Bolsheviks.
He can't stand the Bolsheviks.
No,
the Japanese get involved because they're trying to do some land grabs in Manchuria. Yep. One more interesting thing is the defense of Tsaritsyn. Stalin mounts this mythologized defense of the city of Tsaritsyn, right? Because that's one of the things he's controlling. He wasn't actually a great military leader.
Trotsky weirdly is better, isn't he? Yeah.
Trotsky does a lot of great military leadership at times. Sometimes he's overconfident, and that fucks him.
Well, he's great for the other team because he gives a speech to his own troops and then they kill themselves. So the
huge amounts.
Brilliant.
They just get a loudspeaker and he starts lecturing them, and en masse, thousands of whites kill themselves.
Yeah. Did you know that prawns are actually? Do you know how prawns are farmed? It's really barbaric.
And they just tie themselves with barbed wire and jumping off rocks in their pockets into the Baltic.
Is that barge left yet? Can I get on it? This cunt started talking about prawn eggs.
But Stalin's tactics, he'll just meat grind anyone.
Yeah.
So he has no care for human life. So even though he does defend this city, it actually was just he threw enough bodies in front of it, right?
Yeah.
Tsaritsyn is then called Stalingrad in honor of him.
Oh.
And
so that
you got Finn when you got a fact that Finn didn't know when he turns Japanese for a second. It's like if you tell him something about Hitler that he didn't already know, he might know.
So hang on. So Stalingrad has just always been an absolute bloodbath.
Yes,
as a place. What is it now? Is it still called Stalingrad?
It's called Volgograd.
Right.
I'd love to actually go. Stalingrad's probably my favourite part of World War II.
Yeah, it's sick.
It's as big as it gets.
That's my first Bevo book.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I need to.
Bevo's, guys, if you've not read Bevo Stalingrad.
Is it good?
Brilliant.
How many pages is it?
Hey?
How many pages?
He eats the whole thing in one go and then says, you know the rules. He swallows it.
If you like, I mean, it's male history. If you like battles, it's the biggest battle of all time. What more could you want?
Yeah.
A million people die in a battle.
There's Beaver Stalingrad and there's Beaver's Berlin. Love it. Shout out Anthony.
There's Bevo's Bonnie Blue.
Yeah, that's a very different work, actually. That's a very different work.
That's his later period.
Bonnie Blue sucks off Anthony Beaver then says, you know the rules. Right, come on. We've got to tie up the Civil War for us so that we can then get to how Lenin's life ends.
Basically, even though the the Bolsheviks have pissed off the peasants a lot because they're stealing grain.
They're seizing their land as well.
Seizing their land because they're so focused on the workers.
Yeah.
They basically like introduce serfdom in a way.
Mm-hmm.
The whites, though they have a lot of opportunities, this is kind of where they lose the war, to take advantage of all the people the Reds are pissing off. They hate peasants so much, they're still just raping and pillaging all their villages.
And there's so many pogroms at this point.
So many pogroms.
Just like Jews
the whites are so terribly organised in that way that they just kind of fuck it, and eventually it kind of crumbles.
Yeah.
Even though they've had like they had like launched an assault on Moscow, they very nearly got there. They're just too overzealous, basically, the whites.
And
the capital moved to Moscow during this period because St. Petersburg is too close to Finland and the Germans.
Yeah.
So they move it to Moscow, and that's why it's in
Ideally,
Moscow.
we'd move the capital from London because it's too close to Germany.
Where would you move it to? Falkland? Not Falkland. Fucking
yeah. I would.
Shetland Islands.
What's the capital of the Falklands called? It's called something stupid.
It's like Jeffrey or something. Stanley, isn't
Stanley.
it? Port Stanley.
Stanley. Yeah.
It's some fucking.
A stupid name for it. You can't just call a city a bloke.
Just Nigel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more. It shows that we really shouldn't be there in a way.
Yeah.
That it's an island off the coast of South America called Stanley.
Should be called Juan.
Yeah.
Should be called Diego.
Should we get to Lenin's death?
Yeah, we should. So Lenin, while this is all going on,
the war has slowly, eventually ground to a halt. The Reds are now in control.
Right. This is what, 1922, 23?
23, yeah. 24, I think.
Lenin survived an assassination attempt.
Yes.
He's also had a couple of strokes, I think.
Yeah. He looks very frail. Let's get Lenin up.
Get old Lenin up, would you? He's in a chair. He's got his blankie around his knees. He's just in front of the TV watching Inspector Morse. He's just waiting for it to end. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at this. Look at that. He looks like Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
On his 99th birthday.
Yeah. Big chair, though.
He looks fucked.
Yeah, look at his eyes.
He looks completely fucked.
Yeah.
He's terrified.
He's still coming from the revolution.
Wait, to be fair, I mean, he's managed to do it.
Well, look, that's it. He's completely drained of cum, and now he's just in a
the revolution has
wheelchair.
been won. Lenin's dream has been realised, and now he can finally evaporate from coming harder than anyone's ever come before.
If you come harder than anyone, what are you left with?
Exactly.
You're just skin and bones.
He's come so hard, he's embalmed himself with cum. That's why he's there. He's frozen
lying in state.
He's lying in state, like, oh!
He's been encummed.
Yeah, he's been encummed.
Right, come on. How does Lenin finally slip away?
So he's old, and
he calls up his old friend Trotsky,
and he says, "Can you just tell me one of your fucking boring stories?
Go on, tell me about salmon farming.
Shuffle me off this mortal coil, will you?
What's wrong with pork? Why is pork bad? Go on, mate. Finish me off, would you? Why shouldn't we drink coconut milk? What's wrong with that? Did you know oat milk's actually got more sugar in it than Coke?
Explain how much palm oil's in Nutella.
Yeah, come on. Come on. You brought out a new line of peanut butter, have you? You got woke peanut butter now. Trotsky, the biggest murderer of all time. Mass murderer. Yeah, so what happens? Lenin shuffles off.
It's about so Stalin's been there the whole time, and basically Trotsky has been he's often on tour doing stuff. He's I don't know. He's like doing speeches.
He's wanging on about something.
He's wanging on about something, but Stalin is positioning himself slowly, kind of for power. He's grown in influence as the war's gone on. He also is
big boy, big belly.
He's the guy who changes all of Lenin's. He speaks to Lenin and says what Lenin is saying to the rest of the communists, which is a very powerful position.
Lenin's in a chair and can't
and Stalin says, "Well, he says that I'm brilliant."
Yeah.
Well, he said that last week. Yeah, and that's all he's saying. But also, Lenin doesn't want Stalin to take over, and this is kind of interesting. Yeah. There is a letter which is kind of very dramatic. This is very Russian
will almost, right?
Yeah,
one of the last things he says.
One of the last things he says is, Stalin is a thug who lacks compassion or kindness. Do not let him become the leader of this country. And predicts all of the bloodshed and horror that's going to come during Stalin's reign. Even though he doesn't name a successor, which was a big flaw from Lenin, I feel. He should have named who he wanted it to be. But this obviously is suppressed. Also, what I found out was quite interesting is the communists said that Stalin was taking too much power before Lenin was dying. Mm-hmm. So much so that they all said, this is too much, you've got to leave. And he says, I will leave if you want me to. And because of that humbleness, they said, okay, maybe you are all right, actually.
What, Stalin?
Yeah, so Stalin says, if you want me to, I will.
Yeah.
He plays one of those tricks.
Yeah.
And also...
reverse psychology.
the two people who are primed to take over from Lenin are Trotsky and Stalin. Trotsky has annoyed everyone.
Yeah.
Because what Trotsky does is he makes them all feel like idiots. He thinks that he's smarter than everyone.
Yeah.
He's pissing them all off. And so even though he has probably a better resume than Stalin, because he's got a thick Georgian accent, people underestimate him. He's built a better network. He doesn't make people feel like idiots.
One of the great
breaks their legs.
One of the great moustaches.
One of the great moustaches.
We are living in a pre-Saddam era.
Yeah.
This is the greatest moustache anyone's ever seen.
Mm-hmm. And then Lenin dies. Stalin, in his kind of final great masterpiece chess move, tells Trotsky the wrong date of Lenin's funeral.
This is so good.
And if you are trying to take over from a communist leader, what you need to do is organize their funeral.
Yeah.
That is the move. That's what happens with Stalin.
Yeah.
When he dies, Khrushchev helps organize the funeral. You want to be the one who's seen to be the most sad at the last guy's funeral.
That's like catching the bouquet at the wedding.
100%.
Is organising the funeral.
You want to organize the funeral. You want to show that you are the saddest one, that you're the most heartbroken. So I don't know how he got away with this, but he says Trotsky is going to be 2 weeks later.
Trotsky, there's an orangutan over there. His home's been burned down by peanut butter farmers. And Trotsky's like, what? And he runs off.
Trotsky is in like a rehab because he's got an illness. So it looks like Trotsky is missing...
Boringitis.
He's got boringitis.
Yeah.
It looks like he's missing Lenin's funeral because he's on holiday.
Annoying cuntitis. Yeah.
And then he comes back and the sands have already shifted.
Yeah.
Stalin's in pole position.
And this is where the as Anthony Bevo calls it, the death cult of Lenin begins, because they embalm him. But I think there's something about...
But I'm pro-embalming. I think people view it as this kind of like really a body horror bizarre thing. I think it means you can go see the fucker.
My point is, I think it's Lenin where they get the amounts wrong or something, and he's really, really small. I think it's Lenin where they accidentally shrink him, and he's like basically...
Well, they shrink him in the wash?
I think he sort of gets...
I think they put a pink sock when they're embalming him. So
no, that's Gorbachev. That's why that's there. You got to put a pink sock in the wash, and he's like, yeah. I think maybe it's been on display for so long that it's just shrunk. But
there's a lot of debate.
You can go and see it, can't you?
Yeah,
Still.
but it's nearly always closed. I've been
to
to Moscow, but it was closed when I saw it. But I'd have loved to have had a peek. Because do you know what I mean? We've just spent ages talking about this very historic moment. If you can actually see their fucking, waxwork
I'd
body.
I'd love to lay respectfully a slice of American cheese on his embalmed head. I never got to do this while you were alive.
Or when you put your footprint in cement.
Yes.
And it's forever.
Yeah.
When they're about to embalm you just chuck a piece of cheese and now forever this cheese is embalmed onto his...
Yeah. And every person paying their respects just puts another element of the Big Mac on. Just like a gherkin or like some sliced onion.
He'd love that.
He'd love that. Oh, here we go. What? After 95 years on public display, Lenin's body will be laid to rest in Ulyanovsk.
In defense of communism is the site. So
Get this filth off my laptop, Charlie. Get this commie filth off. He's been buried this year. Go back.
I mean, it's a big debate.
September 3rd, 2025. He's going to be buried.
Fair enough.
Wow.
It's heartbreaking. I want to see this fucker.
Yeah.
Because his moustache will still be intact.
Can we pay someone who's near there can we buy them a slice of American cheese and they could just chuck it in the grave as it's being lowered down?
Well, as he's being lowered, you get it just Indiana Jones under the door.
Or you know how
you go, look at that!
You know how Jews leave rocks on gravestones?
Yeah.
We should just leave bits of American cheese on Lenin's grave.
Finish off,
go on.
So Stalin's in power, and then Stalin slowly but surely.
We're not starting Stalin now, are we? We've done fucking 6 hours on. No.
We're not. He purges everyone, but this at the end of this coming of age film, if the Russian Revolution was a coming of age film, no, it wouldn't be.
Is it?
No. If it was like,
doesn't feel like a Richard Curtis film.
What are the films where in the credits, it's a historical film,
feels like Boyhood.
In the credits where there's guitar music playing and it shows the character and explains what happens to them. Like the end of Argo.
Yeah. After, it's not Argo. It's like a rom com.
Like a rom. No, but okay. What happens to the person? Yeah, like a rom com.
Yeah.
If Russian Revolution was a rom com, Stalin will a smiling picture of him.
This will be
manufactured of famine
Yeah.
in Ukraine that kills 15 million people.
Yeah.
Over the course of his life, he potentially kills 40 million.
Defeats the Nazis though.
Yeah. So this is all in his little thing.
Yeah.
Purges everyone. Yeah. So all the people that he's hanging out with, you can show who he purges.
Yeah.
He purges all of them.
Yeah.
Trotsky gets exiled, moves to Mexico, gets into a love affair with Frida Kahlo, the monobrow artist.
Fucking hell, can you imagine those two wanging on about Jesus Christ, I'm thinking about.
Keeps writing books about Stalin. He writes a biography about Stalin, doesn't finish it, because while he's writing it in 1939, he's finishing the chapters of his biography about how Stalin fucked everything.
Mm-hmm.
One of Stalin's assassins goes into the room where he's writing it, gets a ice pick and fucking chucks it through the back. Shut up.
The best moment of this whole story, the justice, finally, that whiny cunt has got an ice pick in his face.
But it's so cinematic. He's in Frida Kahlo's house writing the final chapter of his biography of Stalin, who took the job that he wanted.
It's amazing,
And then a pickaxe goes in and he literally falls on his book with the blood dribbling over. It's him saying Stalin was actually a bit of a nasty guy.
It's a shame that the pickaxe guy didn't then go for Frida, because he probably could have sorted out her old Turkish brow got going on.
And with that, it brings us probably, I'd say, it's the end. Have we missed? I don't think we've missed anything.
No, I mean, it's perfectly poised for our epic Stalin series.
Yeah, I can't wait for that either.
We'll give it a minute.
Give it a rest.
Give it a minute. Christ, let's
be honest, this is the most research I've had to do for any of these, and I've been stuck in Russia for a long time.
It's been too long. Let's get out of Russia, please.
We need some sillier stuff,
Take me
because this
somewhere
is fucking
silly.
bleak.
Russia's cold. It's really cold, and they just eat cabbage.
Thank you so much for bearing with us on our
lot of
epic
history.
Voyage.
That was a lot of quite stodgy food for these lot.
We will be back with some red meat.
We'll be back with some lovely little carpaccio, I reckon. Lovely little wafer-thin bit of red meat. Throw down your gullets. If you'd like more! If you'd like more, join the Patreon, where for £3 a month. And by the way, it's not £4.50. If you do it through the app, it's £4.50. If you do it on the website, it's £3. That's because Apple have added a £1.50 surcharge trying to stop people from joining Patreon.
Christ.
But I think it's been decided as illegal in the courts. Anyway, don't be a mug. Sign up via the website to just pay £3 for all our hot OnlyFans bonus content. Sometimes trying to get his arse out. Okay, bye. See you next time.